Then I spent some time here on this things talking about some of the ways that you can actually go about learning. And I have on my website something that's called a daily tracking worksheet that you can download and use as you're studying to track the ways you've actually studied. And on the Moodle site, there's a way to also do this without actually printing the daily tracking worksheet, so that you can have a good idea of what you need to do. Now, I'm going to go a quick overview here of some of the ways that you can study. Now, throughout the year, we're going to expand on this, and we'll talk about many different study strategies that you can use to successfully do better in the class. And I will try to bring as many of these as I want, as mini lectures. So maybe at the beginning of every class, I will have a little exploration. Okay, guys, today I'm going to learn how to do flashcards. But throughout the year, you should get these tools that I'm going to arm you with to learn, to actually study, okay? But this is a little bit of a walkthrough of the basic steps that a great student would take in order to learn. Now, do you have to do all of this? No, you do not need to do all of this. But if you do some of this, you will probably do better than people who don't. And you should try to do as much of this as possible, or as much of this as you need to get what you need to be. If you're not passing the quiz, if you're not keeping up with the pace of the class, it's probably because you didn't try to do something out of these things that I told you about. And usually the first thing I ask someone who comes out to me and say, Mr. Lima, I don't get it. I've trying it, but I don't get it. The first thing I'll ask is this: okay, show me your daily tracking worksheet, or let's look at your Moodle site results analysis to see how you've actually been studying. And usually the answer is that they have not done some of these things in order to get themselves ready. Now, the first and very foremost things also is that when you get a topic, it may look ginormous. It may look daunting to finish that topic. And so one thing that you should do is to chunk it up. You know, it's easier to study little pieces of the topic than to take on the whole monster at once. It may be easier. Let's say, for example, you have 2 days to study. Instead of trying to study everything in one sitting, you can split it up. And so to make it more manageable and more achievable. And that's a very important, especially once you go into the harder method of actually keeping track of your own pace. When I don't set the pace myself, it's very important for you to set up in chunks. And also, this will allow you to review the chunks from the days before every day that you go over the topic, and then that repetition will help you learn the stuff even better. Okay, but when you actually start learning and you go over the preparation stage, the first thing you need to do is collect information. You need to know about the things you have to know. So you get that lecture guide with the objectives that you have to know and with those words that you have to learn, and you start working on learning those words by collecting the information. Now, this is not necessarily learning, okay? A lot of people think that, oh, I took notes, I watched the videos, oh, so I know what I have to do, I read the textbook. That's one thing. That's just exploring. That's just seeing what you have to learn. You don't really learn until you actually practice this. So it's very important to do that. But you can't really practice the information unless you collect the information in the first place. If every time you have to ask yourself a question, you have to go look up the answer, it will take you forever to learn. So it's better you take notes, you collect information, you have in your hands everything you need to know about that topic. Now, I do provide you with notes, but those are the notes I provide. You didn't do any effort for that. So the best thing you can do is create your own notes using the lecture guide to have everything you have to know already pretty much lined up. And once you have the information collected, it will be a lot easier to master it. And at that point, you can also write questions that you have for me and things for that. So this step of collecting information is crucial. But as you collect information, careful where you get the information from. It's always best to double check your sources. Have 2 places you looked at. Don't just watch the videos. Read the notes as well. Don't just go to the website or a wiki space. Do more. Lose a textbook as well. You know, it's very important for you to double check the information because I might be wrong or the book might be wrong. So it's good to look at many different places. And it's also important to start with the easier stuff. If the videos are too hard for you and you're not getting the videos, maybe start with the notes because they might be a little simpler, a little more to the point, or the presentation, or something like that. And so I have so many resources for you, so choose the resource which is easier. But as you explore the resources, it's very important that you actually collect information and you write stuff down. Take notes, all right? And draw things and write down thoughts that you have. Come up with mnemonics, examples, questions. collect information is not just sitting there passively and listening to the teacher or reading a textbook. It's actually writing stuff down as a scientist would, organized in ways that would actually help you learn. Now, I'll show you how to do that in class over and over again, but it's very important that you remember these things that I said. When you're taking notes, write down as much as you can. Make sure you address everything the lecture guy said you're supposed to know. Write down thoughts, ideas, examples, mnemonics, drawings, anything that I give to you, so that when you actually study, you have that stuff as a reference that you yourself created. It's the best way to do this. But in terms of actually collecting information, you have several options that I provide to you through my website. And we'll talk about that in the next video as we resume talking about stage 1 learning.